Hello, everybody. You're listening to Accounting Makes Sense, an MJ the Tutor podcast, and I am your host, MJ the Tutor. In this podcast, we are focused on helping accounting students all over the world by offering a quick warm-up on various accounting and business topics, hoping to generate bigger discussions and conversations around them. So what I wanted to do for this episode is to start off from where I got the inspiration for today's topic. The title of this episode is The Trolley Problem. And for children of ethical studies, you will know what this is. And for those who don't, well, stay tuned to learn about it. This episode was actually inspired by pop culture. Now, I love pop culture, and I tend to actually link a lot of my accounting lessons to pop culture references. I myself did not know about the trolley problem until I watched one of the episodes of The Good Place during Season 2, Episode 6 of that series. I really found that episode very entertaining, to say the least. I think that the visualization and realistic simulation of the trolley problem showed the gravity of such decisions. And to contrast that with the comedic endeavors and nature of the characters of that show was really brilliant. Anyways, if you ever want to check it out, the title of that episode is also called The Trolley Problem. And I'm sure you'll find an episode of it on YouTube. But if I find it first, I'll put the YouTube link up on the show notes. So what is the trolley problem? The trolley problem is a series of thought experiments where you are presented with an ethical problem of sacrificing one life in exchange to save many others. Now, it was called the trolley problem because the experiment normally starts off with a trolley, which is barreling down its tracks on a collision course that will result in hurting 5 people that are stuck further down the tracks for whatever reason. You have the option to change the course of the trolley, pull the lever to get the trolley on a different track, but this choice will lead to hurting one person down the second track. This one person was of course originally safe, but now, because of your decision to change the course of the trolley, you put this person in harm's way. So you have this choice to make whether to sacrifice 5 people versus just the one. There are variations to the trolley problem. One variation goes something like, you know that one person very well, maybe he or she is close to you, and the other 5 are strangers. Would this change your decision in any way? The gist is that the option will always have you either do nothing or do something to divert the trolley. As CIMA accountants, we are familiar with ethics. Granted, it's probably not in the same life and death kind of ethical dilemma that the trolley problem presents, but we still encounter them in our work life as well as the case study exams. Unlike the trolley problem, where it gets a bit muddy because of the moral implications of both options, in a CIMA case study exam, the ethical problem that we face is normally clear-cut, and there are always resolutions to the problem. On the topic of CIMA ethics, there are 5 fundamental principles which underpin the CIMA Code of Ethics. We'll talk about the 5 in a bit, but what I just wanted to mention is that every accountant, be it student or an associate, has to comply with this Code of Ethics. Contrary to belief, it is not only the public accountants that have to follow these rules. So, let's try and talk about the principles. I mentioned that there were 5. The first one is confidentiality. This principle deals with information and the disclosure of that information. Ethics does not allow you to disclose any professional information you may have about a company or a business unless you have obtained specific permission to do so, or you are legally bound or professionally obligated to do so. The second one is objectivity, and this principle discusses influence and bias in decision making. You should not allow somebody else to influence your decisions, be it through conflict of interest, bias, undue influence, and anything really. Your professional judgment, should be impartial, and you should make decisions because you believe that it is the right thing to do. The third one is professional behavior. This principle discusses the fact that accountants are bound by rules and regulations. Actions or activities that put you in a compromising position should not be undertaken, especially if it's going to put the reputation of your profession in a negative light or discredit the profession in any way. The fourth one is professional competence and due care. This principle acknowledges that a certain level of knowledge and skills is expected of you, specifically if you are acting in the capacity of a professional accountant. It is understood that you would have undergone the necessary training and education required for your profession. The fifth one is integrity. This principle focuses on being honest and straightforward about your dealings and relationships. You should not put yourself in a position where you can be associated with false or misleading statements, and this includes misleading by omission or withholding information. So those are the 5 principles that bind any CIMA accountant. Other professional bodies also have their own code of ethics, and it normally goes along the same lines and protects against the same things. So what do you do if you encounter an ethical scenario in a CIMA case study exam? It is very likely that you will be presented with a scenario where an ethical dilemma needs to be resolved. An ethics question is staple in CIMA case studies. What is important to remember is that initially, you do need to verify that there has been a breach in the code of ethics. Once you've determined which principle is being breached, you then proceed to offer resolutions. The resolutions that you offer will typically involve a short-term and a long-term solution. The reason for this is that when there is an unethical situation happening or unfolding, you do need to address it immediately before it blows out of proportion. So the short-term resolution will normally stop the unethical situation from going any further. The long-term solution would be to ensure that the unethical situation does not happen again. So a practical, less life-threatening example of the trolley problem would be that the trolley is on the track and it's coming down the tracks and it's going to cause an accident. The short-term solution is to stop the trolley, whatever it takes, before it hits anything or anybody. The long-term solution is perhaps to put a process of either checking the brakes on the trolley, that it's working and functional every time the trolley is used, or implement a routine inspection for the tracks, that it is clear of people and stuff, to ensure that an accident is avoided when the trolley comes past. So that is the end of our episode for today. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did so, please do not forget to hit subscribe or follow to catch the next episode. As always, thank you for listening to Accounting Makes Sense. I am your host, MJ the Tutor. If you want to learn more tips and advice, you can visit my website at www.mjthetutor.com. Or if you want to connect through social media, I'm available on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, under the name MJ the Tutor. I hope to see you again next time. Ciao for now!